Hi all, and welcome to Coach Certification, Your Questions Answered webinar. My name is Sandra Mall, Program Advisor here at Coaching Under the Box, and I will be the host for today's webinar. Our goal for you is to walk away with clarity in regards to the coach credentialing process, have your questions answered, and get to know a little bit more about Coaching Under the Box. So as Program Advisor, I connect with individuals every day who want to learn more about our programs and the coach credentialing process. So if you feel like you still have questions at the end of this webinar, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm always happy to connect with you one-on-one and answer any questions that you do have. Just to let you all know, at the end of this webinar, we will be sending out an email that includes the slides as well as the link to recording and any further resources that we have talked about today for you. And let me go ahead and introduce to you our CEO and founder, Alison Hendren.
So cool about coaching, and what appealed to me I got into coaching was that I could do it from a home office. And sometimes you have a dog in the background that decides to bark right when you're trying to get started. So the joys of a home office. Anyway, by the way, to be a fantastic certified coach, you absolutely have to have an incredibly fantastic sense of humor. So I hope that you're seeing that and saying. I got into coaching quite a long time. There was not any certification. There was no, and what I'm going to do, just because I'm wondering if the internet is acting up a tiny bit, I'm going to stop my video, but I'm going to carry on speaking. And hopefully that will improve things. And Sandra, you can let me know if you're hearing me. There was no certification. There was no certification to get. It was, you just could call yourself a coach. Anybody could do it. And that was that. And I really didn't like that personally, because I felt that it was very important that we had standards, we had guidelines, we had rigor, and that this become actual profession. And that's what's happened. And that's why certification is becoming so much more of a concern for everyone. And I'm actually very, very pleased about it. And we're going to talk much more about it as the webinar unfolds. But it really stands us apart when we hold a certification. And also, one more thing I'd like to mention is that I get calls or I have conversations with people or emails who are realizing the certification and are contacting us as to what they need to do. And then the reason they're asking is because more and more employers, organizations, individuals are becoming more sophisticated about what coaching is, and they're asking what makes you a coach and what gives that to it. So I just thought I'd mention it. And as you can see, there's lots of background that I bring to coaching, and I'm delighted here today to support all of you with your questions and helping you make good decisions for yourselves. So I'll let Sandra go back to her part.
No worries, we will do that. And again, my apologies for the dog. And so our objectives for today, we're going to talk about why hold a credential, which credential is right for you, what to look for when choosing a coach training program, how will you know when you are successful, and also answer any questions that you have. So to get to know you all a little bit better, I'm going to launch a poll. There's a series of 5 yes or no questions, just to kind of make sure that this webinar is going to be in alignment with your goals. So let's just launch the poll. And I'll give you about 30 seconds to answer the questions. And for those of you that will be listening to the recording, the questions that we're asking, again, they're yes or no, is I want to become a full or part-time coach with my own practice. I want to continue working in an organization but add coaching skills to be more effective and valuable employee. I want to have a second career in coaching after I retire, one that provides more freedom and flexibility. I want to continue working in my profession, but supplement this with a part-time coaching practice. And I want to develop coaching skills to become a more effective leader and advance in leadership positions. I'm just going to give it a few more seconds here. That's great. We're getting some of you in here. That's lovely. I'm going to go ahead and end the poll, and we'll just kind of see who's around the room with us today. So this is great. 89% of you want to become a full or part-time coach with your own practice. A few of you already work in an organization and you want to bring coaching skills, which is great. A very common one, 89% of you, again, want to have a second career in coaching after you retire. And as Alison did touch about, there is some freedom and flexibility when it comes to that. And so that is wonderful. We are going to stop the share. And I'm actually going to pass this back over to Alison to talk about the case for coaching. And Alison, you are on mute. I am just going to go ahead and unmute you. Alison, are you able to hear? Well, while we wait for Alison to unmute herself and come and join us again, I know she is working remotely today and might have some connectivity issues. Is the coaching defined by the International Coaching Federation is partnering with clients, customers, colleagues, or employees in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. Now, Alison, are you there? Okay. Well, the case for coaching. It's an emergency out there, and the people need new ways of communicating, and we need all hands on deck. So coaching itself is more than just a profession, it's a way of being as well. It's, being there, present in the moment, listening to everyone, making sure that we are partnering with people to really communicate in a way that's more effective in the landscape of today. And Alison, anytime you jump on, you're more than welcome to. So coaching is really about supporting people through change, through the shifts, the beliefs, the risks, uncertainty, unknowns, through crisis, through challenges, through transitions, losses, and also successes, and supporting them to move farther, faster, easier, quicker than they would have without a coach. So coaching itself is a proven tool in doing that, and it's why more and more organizations are supporting their leaders and managers and staff in learning these powerful coaching skills. So again, as we talked about, the ICF definition is on the screen. And some great things that come out of coaching is, what if you could support leaders, professionals, staff, managers, directors in these coaching skills to better themselves, to better their potential in a sense, to maximize everything that they have within themselves. It's supporting somebody's strengths. It means listening. It means collaborating. It's endorsing somebody. It's developing strengths within staff. It's, bringing a coaching culture to your organization. And it also kind of highlights what can we do differently. And I think Alison is joining us here. And I can see you, but we cannot hear you just yet. And that is okay. She looks to be frozen again. She's just getting her hearing on. So again, I went through briefly the case for coaching, but you know what? Alison's passion brings so much more to it. She has much more experience in that area, so you're welcome to come on if you would like to. We still can't hear you. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go and move ahead to a question that I get asked a lot in my everyday talking with individuals just as yourself in regards to the coach credentialing process is, why hold a coach credential? Why is that important? And it's simple. There are really three main areas that it brings to the table. And number one is credibility. The International Coaching Federation, or ICF, as you'll hear us refer to them, is the leading global organization of professional coaches worldwide. And they're dedicated to advancing the coaching profession, and they set high standards for their credential holders. As the largest organization of professionally trained coaches, they're also committed to connecting their members with the tools and resources that you would need to be successful as a coach. And an interesting thing is that the consumer awareness around coaching is growing. There was a ICF 2017 consumer awareness study issued or done by PricewaterhouseCoopers that found that 83% of consumers find it to be important that their coach holds a credential. And so that just kind of shows how, you know, the coaching profession is moving, and the ICF is a big part of that. We're also seeing more and more organizations, whether they are hiring internal coaches or external coaches, that one of the requirements you will see is that any applicants have to hold a credential for coaching. So the next thing is differentiation. So currently, the ICF is the largest professional association of coaches globally, and there are actually 29,000 coaches in 123 different countries. 17,000 of those coaches hold what we call the ACC, the Associate Certified Coaches Credential. 11,000 Professional Certified Coaches, or PCCs, and there are now just over 1,100 Master Certified Coaches, or MCCs, found globally. The ICF is around in 140 different countries. They have chapters, or sorry, they have 140 chapters in more than 70 countries. And the credential, holding an ICF credential, can serve to distinguish you from somebody else calling themselves a coach. And it also provides you legitimacy. You are showing the consumer that you've put in the work, the coach training to be a coach. You have met the requirements, the high rigorous requirements set out by the ICF through your coach training. You abide by the ICF Code of Ethics, and you have a solid understanding and demonstrate the ICF core competencies in your coaching. Now, Alison, I believe we can hear you. Did you want to jump on anything?
The power went out. Can you believe that?
You know,
life happens. There's always something. Anyway, we're back on track. And here's the thing I want to mention about this, because when I got into coaching, and whenever I'm going for coaching business, I don't want anything. I want to make it as easy as possible for people to hire me. And knowing that I have a credential is just, they may not even say anything about it. They just notice that you've mentioned it, or you have it on your business card, or whatever it is that you're providing to them. It just gives them an additional source of assurance, because if you do something wrong, there is an ethics and standards committee, and there is a process where people could, not that you're going to do that, but there is a process, just like any profession. And the thing to think about coaching is it is really an emerging profession. And it's becoming more and more so as the years go by, and as the standards are met, and the credentialing happens, and so on and so forth. So it's really, really, for me, and for any of the coaches I know, it just helps them, you know, with their own confidence, because they've had to meet different standards. They've had to pass an exam. They've had to have rigor. They've had to be tested. And so as the consumer becomes more and more aware of this, it is just an additional reassurance about that. And I know, Sandra, you've been mentioning all kinds of great statistics and so on, which is also reassuring. It's the largest professional association of coaches in the world. And I see there's a question in the chat area. And all right, it's a huge organization that has evolved over the last, 8 or 9 years. And what they do is they support additional training for coaches that goes beyond the initial credentialing that any of you would have. So, for example, I myself have got, they call them continuing coaching education units, that once you get credentialed, you have to continue to meet standards and renew your credential. And part of it is continuing education units. So it's one there's many, but it's one organization that will offer various programs, all virtually, that can provide those as well. But it is not literally initially certifying coaches.
And so for those of you on the recording, the question that was asked is, what do you think about the Worldwide Association of Business Coaches, or WABC? So that was the question that Alison was just responding to.
Right, and it's partnered with, I mean, it's very connected to the ICF as well. It supports the ICF. It's a great way to see it, that's what's going on. So you'll see them at conferences and so on, but it's very, very supportive of what the ICF is doing and has done.
So should we move on, or do you have anything else you'd like to add at this time, Alison?
No, and I'll just kind of jump in, or just ask me, and I'll come in.
Well, you are welcome to take this next slide if you would like.
Okay. Oh, good. Yes. All right. So, yeah. So which one? And in a sense, we have hung our hat and really believe that holding an ICF credential is the gold standard in coaching. It's the largest professional association of coaches in the world. It has the most people holding a rigorous credential. What I have seen, government organizations as well are putting that, when they put out an RFP for coaching services and things like that, they will quite often hold an ICF credential. They'll literally put it in the RFP. So you've got to be thinking about how well known is the one that you're going to hold. And that's why I feel the one to hold is the ICF credential. It trumps, in a sense, all the other ones because it's part of this large association that really worked, gosh, it probably took them, I think, at least 10 years to really come up with, at that time, the competencies of coaching. What were they? And trying to figure out what differentiates people in this arena. And it's these competencies. And so, for example, all our programs at Coaching Out of the Box, but anybody who is credentialed by or certified by the ICF has to adhere to all of those competencies and has to go through very, very rigorous testing and reviewing of all their curriculum and so on and so forth. Hope I'm making sense with that. And I know that there's questions also coming up, and I'm someone who has to sort of stop and read the question to see what something is saying. Spin off smaller businesses now entering the market to assist with certification. How and who do you choose? Great question. And that's why we think, of course, we're one of the ones you should choose if that works for you. But what is it you're wanting to accomplish? You've got to be thinking about that. So for example, I've been, and I know my name, it's changed on my picture now. Great. For example, I've been on the faculty of 2 universities for their executive coaching program. And as I came up in coaching, both with my own clients, and then what happened was, which was not expected, I became a coaching educator and was very involved with the ICF and supporting the growth of it and so on. But the thing is it's really, really important that whatever you choose is going to do what it is that you want it to do. So I want you to think about that. How are you going to know that whatever program you are taking is going to make the best sense for that? Oh, and I see a comment. I've been through the Royal Roads program. Yes. So there's, and been giving thought to credentials, because yes, you want to make it as easy as possible, and you want to hold your hat or hang your hat on the most well-known. Now, saying that, it doesn't mean that every company knows about this. But like I said before, I get calls every day. Every day I get somebody asking me about this. And they're saying, which one? And so when you're going after a program, that's a whole conversation, by the way, just what's the right program for you. And we're happy to talk further to you about that. You can reach out to us as well, and we're happy to speak to you. But the important thing is the one that's going to work for you. And so that is going to be really, really important. So for example, briefly, our program really focuses on you obtaining your first ICF credential. You gaining those credits towards your credential, you completing those coaching hours, and you getting out of the gate with your first credential. Then as you gain more experience and as you grow in the profession, because we all change and shift, and how we are working now and what we're going to do 10 years from now may change, you can continue to achieve the next level of credentials. It's going to take a long time anyway, because you have to get so many hours in. And I'm probably diverting a little bit too much, but I just see these questions. But just make it easy. Bottom line, don't make it hard.
So we're going to talk about what questions to ask yourself. What will a credential do for me? Will a certification or credential help me get clients? Will a certification strengthen my resume? Will a certification open up new opportunities? How many certifications or credentials do I need? Will it help me get a job? How will I use it? Would you like to factor in on that, Alison?
Well, I was also just noticing another question. Yeah, what is going to work for you? So for example, for some of you, attending a live program somewhere may be the best choice for you. You know, it's going to be, it's really going to depend on, and also it's certainly going to depend on your budget. But the thing that I feel is really important is what's going to have you hold your head high. What's going to have you feel confident when you go out there in the marketplace, whether you're internal in an organization or external, because both of those are happening, or a bit of both. What's going to have you feel more confident and have you feel, okay, yeah, I feel really powerful about what I'm doing, and I am confident. And is that making sense?
Certainly is making sense to me. Please feel free to use the chat if there are any questions or comments that are coming up. We are going to move on to the three different, oops, we passed the slide, the three different levels of credentials, which the slide, for some reason, okay, we're going to talk about what program is right for me, but we already kind of touched base on that. Sorry about that. We kind of got lost there for a minute. So we're going to go to the three different levels of credentials. So as Alison briefly touched upon, and we had spoken about previously, the International Coach Federation does offer three different levels of credentials. You can treat them as building blocks upon each other as well. The ACC, or Associate Certified Coach Credential, is the entry-level credential. The requirement for it is that you have 60 hours of coach-specific training, 10 hours of mentor coaching, 100 hours of coaching experience, and depending on the different paths that you can take to apply for your credential, which we can touch upon. I don't have a slide for it, but I'll send out our guide to coach certification that does explain those paths. You may also need to provide a performance evaluation, and for everybody, you need to write a coach knowledge assessment exam. So the 60 hours of coach training is pretty self-explanatory. You would go to an accredited training provider for the most part and get those 60 hours done. 10 hours of mentor coaching is working with a mentor coach, whether it's in a group format or individually, to receive feedback on your coaching, a very valuable thing. The ICF does require that 7 of those hours to a maximum be group mentor coaching, and that a minimum of 3 of those hours be one-on-one mentor coaching. The 100 hours of coaching experience. This kind of sticks on a lot of people because sometimes it can take time to gain 100 hours of coaching experience. Some things to remember when it comes from that: the ICF will not recognize any coaching experience that has happened prior to starting your formal coach training. So day one of your coach training, you can start logging those 100 hours of coaching experience. For the ACC, it has to be with at least 8 clients, and 25 of those 100 hours are allowed to be pro bono hours, whereas 75 of those 100 hours are required to be paid hours. Now, the ICF does recognize that, you know, if we're going for our ACC, we're new to coaching. We may not be able to go out and get all these high-paying coaching clients right away until we get our experience up and actually gain our ICF credential. So the term paid coaching hours can actually mean quite a few things. Peer-to-peer coaching is considered a paid coaching hour. Bartering for services would be considered a paid coaching hour. So payment of any amount. So it could be, you know, you're reaching out to your network saying, hey, can we have an hour-long coaching conversation? And, you know, here's an introductory rate of $10 an hour. You know, that there could also be part of that paid coaching. Another thing to remember when you are getting your 100 hours of coaching experience is that 25 of those hours must have occurred within 18 months of you applying for your credential. Now, that may seem like a long time for a lot of you. There are different individuals that I talk to that are in different situations when they're going to gain the coaching experience hours. We have people that are already in an organization that do coaching as a part of their role within the organization. And as long as the individuals that you're coaching are not direct reports to yourself, you can actually count that as part of your coaching experience hours. Then on the other side of the coin, we have individuals that may be pursuing coaching as a second career and it's not currently a part of their day-to-day job. They're going to be relying on their network, their friends, word of mouth to be able to get those 100 hours of coaching experience. So it could take a little bit longer for those people to fulfill that requirement that the ICF requires prior to you applying for your Associate Certified Coach credential. Again, I'm happy to answer any questions when it comes to that. Just to kind of put it out there as a brief overview. And again, I'll send out our Guide to Coach certification, which does explain this further. So you can either start with your entry-level credential, which is what we at Coaching Out of the Box help you do by providing you with the coach training hours and the mentor coaching that you would need. Other people, or then what you can do on top of that, or go directly into, depending on the program that you choose, would be a professional certified coach or a PCC. When there, you would need 125 hours of coach-specific training, again, the 10 hours of mentor coaching, and 500 hours of coaching experience. So it's a big jump from that 100 hours to the 500 hours of coaching experience. So I like to tell people, you know, really think of them as building blocks upon each other. You know, go for your ACC first if that fits your goals, because once you have that ICF credential behind your name, it's much easier to get those coaching clients, and it's much easier than to jump from that 100 hours of coaching experience required and all the way to that 500 hours of coaching experience that you require to get an ICF credential. So just food for thought there. And just another question I get asked often is, okay, the PCC requires 125 hours of coach training. Well, that would be, you would take the 60 hours of ACC coach training that you've received and apply that. So it's not like you're needing to do an additional 125 hours of coach training to get your PCC. You are then just filling that 65-hour gap between the ACC and PCC before you can go apply to your PCC.
And Sandra, can I speak to that?
Please.
Okay, because this is a nuance here that's really important to understand. First of all, what I have found out there, because again, I've watched this profession grow and I've watched what's happening. And up to now, what I'm noticing so far, I haven't seen it, is that companies that are asking if you hold an ICF credential are not specific to which one you're holding yet. They are being satisfied that you hold it because they know it has ethics and standards. They know there's rigor, et cetera, and they've been educated, these organizations, that this is what somebody needs to hold, but they are not educated fully yet about the different levels. They just want to make sure that some rigor has happened. Now, here's another thing that I think is really important to think about. And I have seen this. I've seen different ways. I've seen this. There are many programs out there of all varying numbers of hours. So for example, 125, which is the next level up that is required if you're going to go for a PCC level. Here's the thing about that though, and for some of you it doesn't matter, for some of you it may fit really well. You don't know what you don't know. And what I've seen is many people will get into coaching. They'll sign up for a program that provides them with 125 hours or maybe even more than that. And then they're met with, well, they still have to get 500 hours of coaching experience. And that's going to take quite a while for many coaches. That can take quite a while. And the thing is, what happens over the course of 2 or 3, 4 years, whatever it takes that person, is they start to think, well, actually, I don't really think this is going to be quite for me. I'd rather carry on with my consulting. That's one thing I've seen. Another one is that they suddenly go, well, actually, now I realize that I would really like to go off in this particular area of coaching, and they end up having to take more training. In other words, for some it works great. For others, they'd rather just get enough of their education hours, etc., and get to that first level and learn and have time to really see, well, what's going to be best for me? And they won't have had to have invested as much time and money to get to that point, but also it will allow themselves to really sort of learn and see what's going to be the way they express themselves as coaches. They may start out with one way, but then suddenly in a year or two, they may realize, well, I kind of want to veer off in that arena. So it's not a one size fits all for all of you. It's going to depend on you, but I really think that's important for people to really to really understand this, because it's still going to take you that time to get those hours up. And in that period of time, you are going to learn how this profession feels, how it feels in your work environment, how it feels as a business person. And you may, again, like I said, you may come up with some different thoughts about that you didn't know at the beginning. So just a nuance to that to be aware of.
Thank you, Alison. That was a wonderful explanation of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third level that we haven't chatted on yet, that we're not going to spend much time on, is the Master Certified Coach. And then again, if you recall from a few slides ago, there are only about 1,100 Master Certified Coaches worldwide, including our very own Alison. And what you would need for that is 200 hours of coach-specific training, 10 hours of mentor coaching again, and then 2,500 hours of documented coaching experience. So again, that's a huge leap. I personally have never heard of anybody going and getting their MCC without first being a PCC or an ACC. Not too sure if that's, the truth or not, but it typically takes years and years and years of coaching to be able to apply for your Master Certified Coach credential. And again, I'll touch base on this a little bit. We'll send it out to you after. There are 3 different paths that you could take for each of the credential levels. There is the ACTP path, the ACSTH path, and the portfolio path. Now, the ACTP, we're not going to touch on too much. We here are ACSTH, and that stands for Approved Coach Specific Training Hours. And so what you see on the screen is what you would need to achieve for the ACSTH path. And then the portfolio path is a little bit different in the sense that you are not taking necessarily a structured program that's strictly ACTP or ACSTH. It could be a combination of the two, or it could be other coach training from an organization that's not accredited by the ICF, where you have to provide the ICF robust documentation on the education that you have received, and they can either choose to approve that documentation and award you the coach training hours for it, or choose not to. So that would be the portfolio path. And you know what, we are going to move on unless there's anything else you'd like to add to that, Alison?
Well, I'm just looking in the chat area, and I see Julie.
Oh, great question.
Pardon?
It's a great question.
Yeah, does it expire? Not as far as I have heard. However, you may have a nuanced situation, and my recommendation if you're not sure, is to contact the ICF and check with them, because what's happened with the ICF over the years is they've bumped up the rigor, they've bumped up the requirements, they've shifted and changed things. I don't think in your case, Julie, it should impact you. However, I don't want to, I don't remember how long ago it was, so it's important that you check. The website itself, the ICF website itself, has enormous amounts of information on it, and that'll be the links and so on will be, well, there, Sandra's just included it. So if you're not sure, and like you said, you haven't got the hours in yet, I think it's going to be really important for you to double check just to make sure, given whatever length of time it was. I don't think so, but I have learned the hard way that sometimes changes are made and we haven't been told. Occasionally, we're pretty good about the ACC, but the Master Certified Coach, there could be, from that length of time, I'm not sure. And I'm also wondering, I'm just looking to see what other questions we might not have answered, because before we move on. Sandra, does that make sense?
It does, and there was one that I did answer direct to Karen, but for the, for the recording, I'll go ahead and just let everybody know so you can hear it too, because it's a great question. The question was, my understanding is that for the ACC, you cannot use any hours towards the 100 of coaching experience if the coaching hours happen during your training program, except for pure coaching you did. Is that correct? So yes, basically for the 100 hours of coaching experience, you cannot count any coaching that you've done within class time, within those 60 hours of coach training that you require. Any coaching within that learning time will not count towards your coaching experience. However, any coaching you do outside of class time, you can certainly log for your 100 hours of coaching experience.
Right, and I encourage, I was literally just speaking with a woman just an hour or so ago, and she was asking that very question. And what I encourage you to do, and if I had to do this over again, I would have got started coaching sooner. The ICF says you can count your coaching hours aside from within the program. That's a whole different story. But if you're going to start coaching people out there, separate from the actual program itself, then you can start as soon as the date of your first class in your coach training program starts. And I encourage sooner versus later, even when you don't know the whole picture, you're just getting going, you're maybe just learning. I'm just using this as an example, the first few skills, listening, for example. It doesn't matter as long as you just tell the person or you explain to the person you're learning and this is what you're doing, because then you'll get those hours up and you'll also grow your confidence. Obviously, you want to explain to the potential coachee or the client where you are at in your training and make that easier for yourself, but you can count it. The ICF says you can start tracking those hours and counting those hours from the start of your coach-specific training. So that, to me, is if you can, and it's a bit scary at first, but it'll get you out of the gate a lot faster.
And something we say around here is the best way to learn how to coach is to coach and be coached. It's getting yourself out there. It's putting into practice what you're learning as quickly as you can. So, it's great advice there, definitely, for that. So we are going to move on to just a little bit about coaching out of the box. I know we had touched on it again. Coaching out of the box is an approved training provider by the ICF. We are approved for approved coach-specific training hours, ACSTH. So any of the programs that you would take with us, you would likely take the ACSTH path towards your credential. Our programs are all done on Zoom, so a little bit different than we're doing here today because they're in the meeting setting and not the webinar. They are very interactive. They're collaborative. There is some lecture component, but for the most part, you're on your microphone, you're on your camera, you are getting to know the people in the classroom with you, you are participating, it's fun. A great point for a lot of people, obviously, is that we are cost effective. Looking at our competition, you know, we are priced well in the sense that it is truly the vision and the mission for Coaching Out of the Box, and Alison personifies this every single day, is that what if everyone had coaching skills, you know, and it's our vision to see that they do, or it's our mission to see that they do, right? So we want to make sure that our programs are priced where, you know, you have access to that. And because of that, we also offer payment options on a couple of our programs as well. We have our flagship 555 coaching skills training program has been delivered to over 20,000 participants in over 39 countries. This is proven. Our programs are proven. And Alison, I don't know if you would like to touch base a little more on that. Or if you'd like me to.
Sorry, say that just briefly again. I was trying to, Tino asked a question on a Q&A thing, and I was trying to answer it for her. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I'll carry on with it.
Okay.
What Coaching Out of the Box does, how the programs were designed, is it's a proven model of coaching. It's a proven approach to coaching, and especially with our 555 coaching skills training program, you know, you walk away with a framework for coaching skills and guiding principles, where you can walk out into the real world and start coaching right after the first class. You know, again, practicing those skills, but it really provides a simplified framework for what coaching is, which is a wonderful thing. We've had proven results for our programs. There was a presentation that was delivered to Harvard Medical School Institute of Coaching, or sorry, the Harvard Medical School and the Institute of Coaching in McLean Hospital, that shows those proven results. And these were not results that were created by Coaching Out of the Box. There was an external company that came in, and Coaching Out of the Box was presenting these results. And there is a link to our website. I can also include that presentation in the recap email for you as well, just to show that. And other benefits of our programs, we have, in my opinion, a world-class team of coach facilitators. Again, we go back to that there's only 1,100 master certified coaches globally. I'm proud to say that on our team here at Coaching Out of the Box, we actually have 4 of them. And that is a huge accomplishment in my mind, and it's a huge honor for us here at Coaching Out of the Box to know that there are so many highly credentialed coaches that really believe in what we're doing and really believe in these programs and really believe in the students. So, you know, everything is just very supportive, and our facilitators are genuinely on board, just helping our participants in every way that they can to be the best coaches that they could be. Again, with our programs, we're teaching you the foundations of coaching. So it's something as well that you can kind of go out and, regardless of where you want to focus your coaching practice on, whether it be, you know, a health coach or a life coach or an executive coach, the foundations of coaching are all the same. So that's really what you're going to get from Coaching Out of the Box, is a solid understanding of what coaching is, and you'll be able to apply those skills into any area of coaching that you would like to work in, which is a great thing. And again, like I said before, they're collaborative. There's lots of practice involved. So you actually walk away not just reading and studying the skills and the competencies of coaching and having an idea of that, you're practicing your coaching. So you're walking away with actual skills that you have been practicing. You know how to coach, which is a fantastic thing. And Alison, do you have anything else you'd like to add to that? Considering just been mumbling along.
I think, no, it's good. From my perspective, well, I think it's well. I think also, you know, please put up any questions that are coming to you in the chat if you have them. And no, I think we can. There's questions coming in by the Q&A button. I have never seen that quite like that before, but it's the one I already did, so it's fine.
That was a great question. I'll actually address that question. Tino had asked, how do you document the 100 coaching experience hours? And the ICF does actually have a template on their website, which I can make sure to include in the email that's going to go out to you after this, that just shows the information that they're wanting you to collect to be able to prove those 100 coaching experience hours. And thing to note on that is, due to the changed privacy regulations over the past few years, you're actually not submitting that coaching log to the ICF. You are attesting to those hours. However, they will require you to keep that log for 7 years, because they can come back and audit you on those original 100 hours of coaching experience that you had attested to in your application. So just kind of a little bit of a nuance there to remember. And let's go to the next slide. So where do you see yourself, regardless of where you are on in your coaching journey? Whether you're just wanting to kind of dip your toes in and see what coaching is all about, or if you are as passionate as we are and you're like, you know what, I want to do this coaching thing, I want to become a coach. We have programs for you. If you're already a coach and you're looking for renewal CCEs, we can help you with that as well. If you decide you want to be a coach educator, you know, we see the power in that, and we can help you do that as well. So please feel free, reach out. We can have a one-on-one chat about what your specific goals are and find a path that'll work best for you.
And you know, I do want to say, is it okay, Sandra, that I mention something?
Of course.
Because you mentioned something. Yeah, of course. What are you going to say? But there's something that I did not realize, and I think it's important. You mentioned something. You said you might want to become a coaching educator. And some of you might want, what are we talking about? Because when, and we've had a number of do this, what happens is, when you develop your coaching skills, you're working with individuals, you're working with people in organizations on all kinds of different paths. But something that comes up a lot and is grown so dramatically now is the need for leaders and managers and individual contributors in organizations to have coach-like conversations, learn some coaching skills, not become credentialed like what we're talking about today, but have capability as part of their managing and leading and work that they do. And so what happens is, you might find you may be working with an organization or a group of people, and they may say to you something like, you know what, I really like the way you're asking questions. I really like how you're interacting with me. Can you teach me how to do that? And that's what we're talking about, becoming a coaching educator, meaning you may then find that part of your practice ends up, part of it is where you're educating others in coaching skills. And we happen to have a program that's been used by many organizations to do that, and you can become licensed to deliver that. I'm just giving that as a picture, because what I have found with most coaches is they have a mix. They do one-on-one coaching, they may do group coaching, they may do team coaching, they may do coaching education, they may do consulting, they may do change management work, all different kinds of things. They may do small business coaching, and on and on and on. And so it's not that generally any coach I know of generally simply does one-on-one coaching and that's it always. It's mostly a mix of a few different things. Thought I just throw that in.
I think that's true for any entrepreneurial business. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, right? You want to have a few tools in your toolkit to be able to sustain your business, definitely.
Right.
And let's move on to what is next. Well, obviously we're here to support organizations and individuals, whether it's developing coaching capacity within organizations and creating a coach approach, a coaching culture. We can help with that. If you're an individual and you're looking to become an ICF Credential coach, we can certainly help with that as well. What we have on the horizon for our courses is, as you can see up there, our Advanced Coaching Skills Practicum starts on February 27th. I'd like to highlight our Fast Track to ICF Credential program, which starts Wednesday, March 11th. Those will be evening classes, so they'll be at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern. And again, that's a 6-month program to complete 68 approved coach-specific training hours and 10 hours of mentor coaching to set you up well to apply for your ACC credential. And find out more, schedule a call with me. I'm happy to chat with each and every one of you about your goals. And again, like I had said before, set up a plan for you. Even if you're just still testing the waters and you're not sure whether coach training is for you at this time, but you do have some further questions, I love to do this. I love to chat, as you can probably tell, because I've been talking this whole hour. I'm always happy to answer any questions that you do have. And this is over to Alison.
Okay, yes. what are you walking away with? You know, it's a classic question, or part of a classic coaching question. There's a bit more usually when you're coaching, but what are you walking away with as a result of today's webinar?
And if anybody wants to jump on and join us on video, I can promote you to a panelist as well. We're a relatively small group today,
Right.
so it should be easy to
do.
So there should be an option to put your hand up, or just type in the chat me, and I'll go ahead and you can come and have a chat with us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I hope that while I'm waiting to see that, I hope that this has given you some new insights or clarified for you what this is all about. And as Sandra said, we're here to support you. The one thing I want to mention is that, again, I can't tell you how many people I've spoken to who absolutely love this profession. And it has captured my passion for over 20 years now. And I just absolutely, the things that happen when you are coaching someone else and really focusing on them and tapping into their ideas, their wisdom, their thoughts, their brilliance, and supporting them in bringing it out of them is the most powerful and meaningful work that one can do. And developing, and I'm still developing, I'm still growing in how to support people and how to support people moving farther, faster, easier, quicker, and better than they would have without a coach. And it is so powerful. And the one little secret about it, there's many, but the one other secret about it is that what I have found when I'm coaching individuals is that what they bring to the coaching, either I've recently experienced, I'm going to experience, or I'm currently experiencing it in some fashion, and it grows me as well, even though it's, you know, I'm supporting that other individual. And I had to really recover. This is still a work in progress from being a teller and a knower. This is not what coaching is about, is to be a teller and a knower. It's to be curious and to tap into their ideas, their thoughts, their wisdom, and support them and hold them accountable as they move the process. I just thought because I know the power now, I got a lot through there for that's what meaningful. Anybody have any questions? Let's see.
I think you're cutting out a little bit, but there is a question here.
Yeah.
It's saying, can you touch on the cost associated with the fast track first for the training, and also the second is the ICF financial commitments to apply for your credential? So I can go ahead and let you all know that the fast track in Canadian dollars is $3,980. And again, that includes the 68 hours of training as well as the 10 hours of mentor coaching. In US dollars, that's $3,220. And again, there are 3 different ways to pay. You can pay it all up front, split into 3 payments or into 6. And all that information is on our website. I'll be sure you get the link to that. As far as the cost associated to applying for the ICF for your credential, it really depends on what path you're taking. And I believe it is for the ACSTH path for non-members, and I should have this on the tip of my tongue. Unfortunately, it's lost.
I just saw it.
Good.
$500.
And then
for non-members,
yeah,
and then $300.
Perfect. So if you are a member of the ICF, we always suggest that you do become a member of the ICF, whether you need to prior to your training or you'd like to towards the end of your training. It's always a great tool to have because of all the resources. So if it's $300 US for that, $3,220 US for the fast track, together you'd be looking at $3,520. So just to give everybody a heads up on that. Are there any additional questions?
Yes, I see the comment from, I'm sorry, Bolane, and I apologize if I'm not pronouncing your name right. Yes, the 100 hours can be started from the start of your coach-specific training.
Mhm.
Not the people in your class, not the coaching within the classes and so on, but external people. Yes, and they cannot be a direct report. Just want to make sure I clarify that, because some people get mixed up. No, it cannot be a direct report to you if you've got someone who does not have that line to you. So they have to be aside from that.
Very good points. And again, if you have questions that weren't answered today, send me an email, schedule a time to chat. We're more than happy to connect with you all. There's also a contact form on the website that you can go ahead and fill out, and we'll be in touch with you as well.
Right. Thank you for coming. And please, we'd love to have you join our programs if that's a good fit for you.
Thank you all. Have a great day.
Bye.